Hello, everybody. Pop culture curator here. So good to see you, and I'm so happy that you were able to join us tonight for another episode of the classic show Lost in Space. And tonight we are covering the episode Space Circus. And first, I want to say hello to my fellow panel members. Gorilla's Random Thoughts, how are you doing tonight, sir?
Oh, doing pretty good. Good. That was a fun stream we just came off of there. Just seeing how stupid people are with their lawsuits, and that was a lot of fun.
Yeah, we did a lot of talking about frivolous lawsuits. It was a good time.
I think when next time I got some spare time like I did tonight because Cub Scouts canceled them, I'm going to do those again. Maybe cover some dumb criminals.
Oh, okay, that sounds like a plan. And Antiderivative Jill, how are you doing tonight?
I'm doing okay. I'm sorry. I'm snacking on something.
No, that's okay.
I always blame those frivolous lawsuits for why my coffee is never hot because of that time.
That one lady, right?
That one person ruined hot coffee for everybody.
Well, in her defense, McDonald's had the cup of coffee at nearly 200 degrees. They're way hotter than what's required by the state and stuff. And it's built on her. She only asked for. She got second degree burns from it, and she had to get some skin grafts there. And she only asked for her medical expenses to be paid for. Instead, the jury awarded her a lot more than what she was asking for.
Yeah, but 200 degrees is just under boiling. That's not that hot. That's just fine.
Yeah, you would think with coffee you're expecting hot. I would guess.
I think so too.
But one person changes it for everybody.
I know I'm up in the air on it because at one point I could see them keeping it hot for the customers, and she should have known it'd be hot, But on the other hand, it shouldn't be so hot you're getting second degree burns from it.
Yeah, but the point is you're not supposed to dump it on yourself.
Accidents happen.
Yeah, but then if it's an accident, you're blaming the company.
That is something to consider, though, that she didn't intend to get as much as she got from it. That's news to me.
I think a lot of it was because of the location of where it spilled. Hello, PvP. Yeah. Speaking of, how are you doing, sir?
Hi, Bob.
It's like storing your gun inside your pants, right?
Yeah, not the best.
Loaded, right?
Plan, yeah. Yeah, well, I think that's probably why the jury was sympathetic with the woman a little bit more than they maybe, needed to be, because, I mean, I don't think I'd want second degree burns on my lap. So it doesn't sound like too much fun, to be honest. It's like, yikes.
No,
but it is what it is, I guess. Hi, Gorilla. Hi, Jill.
Hey, PvP.
Hello.
All right, and I know we've had some people very patiently waiting in the chat, which I highly appreciate. And it looks like we have Stone Racket. Hello, Stone Racket. Welcome. Hope you're doing well. He says, "Hey, what do you know? I am first." Yes, you are, and I'm glad you could join us. Oh, my voice is horrible tonight. I hope it gets better. Lemon Pie says, "Hey, Pop." Hello, Lemon Pie.
Hi, Lemon.
And Stone Racket says, "Lemon Pie, hello." Lemon Pie says, "Hello to Stone Racket." I don't need to remoan. And Stone Racket, let me know what your Twitter handle is, because I was looking for you so I can add you to our stream group, but I couldn't find you under the name Stone Racket. So maybe on Twitter you're under something else. And Suzanne Eckstein says, "Hello, Pop." Hello, Suzanne. Hope you're doing well. Great news from what you told me. Yes.
Hi, Suzanne.
Yeah. Hey again, Suzanne, and hey there, the Stoner Racket.
Yeah, it's nice to see them.
Yeah.
Suzanne says, "Lemon Pie, no need to drop my link anymore, fellas. I got it covered." Whoop, whoop. That's great, Suzanne. And hello, LDG. Good to see you. Hope you are doing well tonight. I know it's a little late for you, sir.
Yeah. Hey, Pickles.
Hey, LDG.
Dear Lord, time is flying tonight, and you were right about that. You are right. For me, the whole day, actually, it felt like I was trying to catch up with everything. Lemon Pie says, "Suzanne, congratulations. I'm glad that things have gotten better." Yes, so am I. Stone Racket, Suzanne. Link. What is a link? I just voted, and I gave this episode a D grade. Okay, Stone Racket. That's fine. That's totally fine. I want to be able the same opinion when we're done with the stream. Remember, everybody, on my stream, when I put a poll with the asking for a grade, you can either grade the episode itself or our coverage of the episode. What do you think? How we covered it, the information that we put forth, and if you had a good time, all that stuff. So you can grade either way. It's up to you. Daniel is Hot Topics. Hello, Daniel. Hello, Pop. How's it going? It is going good, Daniel. Doctor's appointment today, but I'm glad those are behind me. Racket, Pop Culture Theory, may I join the panel? That's why I was asking for your Twitter handle so I can send it to you.
Yeah. And hey, Daniels, and hey, Scurvy.
Stone Racket, send me a message on Twitter, and I'll reply. Because I couldn't find you. I was looking for you the other day, and today before our stream started, but I couldn't find anything under this name. And I could post my name again if you're not sure what it is. Lemon Pie says hi, Suzanne, LDG, Daniel. And hello, Nemesis of Eden. Hello, good buddy. Hail, Pop Culture Curator, Gorilla, PvP, Jill, chat. I hope you're all doing well today.
Hi, Nemesis.
As long as I'm alive and breathing, I consider myself very lucky. Lemon Pie says hi, Pop, PvP, Gorilla, and Jill. And Lemon Pie says Nemesis. Nemesis says Lemon. And Daniel says, I think McDonald's needs hotter coffee. Every time I get coffee, it's barely warm. Yeah, that's what we were talking about. You could thank one person for that. In fact, honestly, guys, that lawsuit was at least 20 years ago or more, and she was 70 at the time, so she's not even around anymore.
Yeah. And hey, Nemesis, I think Scurvy got the draw on you. You're both very close, though.
But her legend endures.
Hi, Mommy.
Hey, Mommy. Okay, so let me get my video all lined up. Oh, that's right. Jill is doing the slides. I keep forgetting. Thank you, Jill. What a relief, too. And
You're welcome.
I'll cover it. Yeah, it's such a big help. You don't understand how much.
Stoneworker says he sent you a reply on Twitter, and Twitter handle was posted here, then it was deleted.
What was deleted? I'm not sure. I've never heard of that before. Have you guys ever heard of that?
No?
Not really.
Well, you can retract stuff in the chat and stuff. I know that.
And that's only if you're a paid member.
Yeah, that seems unusual.
I'm going to post it in the chat, my handle.
All right. And welcome, the man of many words there, Cody Guy.
Hello, Cody Guy. Good to see you. Hope you're staying warm.
Hi, Cody.
And there, I dropped my Twitter handle in the chat there, Stone Racket. So tonight, we're going to be covering Season 2, Episode 5, Space Circus. And this episode originally premiered Wednesday, October 12th, 1966. And the description is as follows. A space circus comes to town, and the owner wants Will to run away with it. I'm not sure if they should have said come to town because they're not in a town, but oh well, I'll give them that. And we start off here with a recap from last week where they're out looking for an ingredient for their food sterilizer? Not a synthesizer. Oh,
Purifier.
Purifier, thank you. I was trying to remember that from earlier. It was like I knew I was going to forget again. So the Robinsons that we've seen are on a different planet now. And of course, they have more damaged equipment. And they've got to be able to get a food supply up and running. So their food purifier needs a certain ingredient that the kids at Robot Dr. Smith are out hunting for. Last week, as you recall, as we normally get. Oh, and I've got the book here, which I will be referring to once again. Irwin Allen's Lost in Space, the authorized biography of a classic sci-fi series, Volume 2, by Mark Cushman. And the assessment for this episode is, Well, first of all, it's written by Bob and Wanda Duncan, story editor Anthony Wilson, directed by Harry Harris. The theme is one of family and loyalty, and a look at how the nature of show business, the illusion and hollowness of the performance, is often in contrast to either family or loyalty. One must, after all, run away from their family to join the circus and live an adventurous life in the stars. As Marvello will tell us, the only great performer is the one who puts his heart into his work. And consider the weakness of a man whose dream has always been larger than himself. This episode rates a double assessment. One for the script by Bob and Wanda Duncan, and one for the episode directed by Harry Harris. Space Circus, the teleplay, is actually quite good. Space Circus, the episode, is only fair. Yeah, there was a lot. I was reading about this earlier. There was a lot in the teleplay, and this has happened before, that they weren't able to convey or didn't have time or didn't have budget to actually put on screen.
Yeah, this episode really feels like there's something else going on in the first half of the story that was never fully realized, and they're just like, oh, forget about that feeling of dread and kind of how sinister the performers feel, and then all of a sudden they're just like, oh no, it's fine.
Yeah, in fact,
Yeah.
we can talk about it later too, but I remember, did I miss something where they were asking Professor Robinson, can they come over for dinner? He said, absolutely not. No. Because they basically said, if we can go to their performance, if they can come and have dinner. And Professor Robinson said no. And then it cut and shows that Robinson's there watching the performance. Did I miss something? Were they agreed to go?
Well, yeah, they did.
It did feel like almost 2 episodes to me. Like...
Marina asked to go, and so she convinced him. She was like, oh, well, everybody's been tired and stressed out, and this will help.
Thank you for filling in that hole. I guess I got distracted for a moment when I was watching it.
The first half did feel quite different than the second half when I watched it. I thought,
Pop,
like,
you might... Oh, sorry.
Go ahead. No, sorry.
I was going to say, Pop, you might have a message from Largo 6583.
I'm looking in the chat, or where?
Yeah, he says, Stoner Racket says, Pop Culture Curator. Largo 6583.
Gotcha. Largo 6583. Okay, I'm going to look for that right now. That explains why I couldn't find it.
All right. That's all the chats. All right. So, what are we going to...
Oh, there it is. Okay, yeah, I remember now. That's what... Yeah, okay, now I remember your name, and I'm now following. All right, and give me a minute, because it takes me a minute to add you to this. Hold on a second. I gotta... Sorry, guys, give me a moment. I know radio silence is not good.
Well, you were talking about the substance that they were looking for. They were looking for quartz conglomerate. But don't worry, it doesn't matter.
Don't worry, they never explain what the heck that is.
Not only do they not explain what it is, they can't find it, and then it turns out they don't even need it.
And then they forget all about it and never mention it again, it seems, later in the episode. Like,
well, Don mentions that he figures out a way to use the device without needing it at all.
That's it.
Well, Don's what you call an old school mechanic. When you tell them you break something, you need something, they'll hand you a roll of duct tape and a screwdriver. Go, now go fix that thing.
Exactly.
Oh, I remember my dad telling me stories about that at the place he used to work at there. They tell them they need this part. They had a roll of duct tape as a screwdriver and tell them to go fix the effing thing.
I wanted to bring up here, this is something that Jill was touching on a minute ago. The story by the Duncans was more interesting than merely a fantasy tale about the Robinsons and Company visited by the operators of a down on their luck and very streamlined galactic space circus. There were numerous subtle instances of jeopardy incorporated into the story, which did not come across in the filmed episode. Case in point, as written, Marvello has a dark side and becomes an effective antagonist. The Marvello we meet in the filmed episode, portrayed by James Westerfield, is transparent and ineffectual as a threat to Will and the others. He's a cartoon character and a harmless one at that. The monster, as portrayed on film, is completely under his control and therefore no real threat. In the script, it is apparent that the monster can be a true danger to the Robinsons' party, as well as the circus performers. And I will touch more on that later as we get to those scenes. So Dr. Smith once again comes up with the excuse saying he's too tired to go looking for things with the kids. So he tells them he wants to rest his eyes. This time it's his eyes. And so
But it's always his back.
Right, usually his back, but this time it's his eyes.
Well, what I was thinking on this whole thing when we go to sit down, they desperately need this because they're going to run out of food in 4 days a week?
4 days, I think it was.
I was thinking, well, if they run out of food, it reminded me of that old orc scene in Lord of the Rings, or the Two Towers. Meat's back on the menu, boys!
Well, I know that was a point of contention in the script. The amount of days kind of varied depending on the level of or how many rewrites they went through. Irwin Allen wanted it to be more days, but CBS didn't want it to be too many days. They didn't want it to seem like the kids were going to be going hungry.
Oh no, is that why we haven't seen the bloop around lately?
Oh, that's right.
Oh my, never thought of that.
I wonder why I've been giving these Fs.
Wow, yeah, I never thought of that. Poor bloop. Oh.
Well, they just didn't want to
kidding.
point
I don't
out
think
that.
they did that.
Well, they just didn't want to point out that they got really desperate for food one night, and well, Dr. Smith was still alive, so we had to go with the next best thing. Maybe Bloop died in the crash there.
That's true.
Yeah, we haven't seen bloop in quite a while, actually. Now that I think about it,
Just shows up whenever that guy who writes Penny episodes does something.
Could be.
Or she, rather.
She. Yeah, that's right. She calls it a she, but maybe it's in Penny's quarters.
Well, Debbie did name the bloop Debbie, right? I believe so.
Right, even though they referred, depending on what character, Penny referred to it as she, but the other characters referred to it as a he. So, oh well.
Well, they're confused. The name of the creature is Debbie, so it's got to be a girl.
Right.
And plus, also, it's been dressed in dresses, but that's what little girls do, so that doesn't say much.
I know little boys who dress up in dresses.
I know, you're right.
Oh boy.
But
hey, and plus you get when you got two sisters and all that, and the parents tell you to go play and all, and you're getting pinned down, or you're getting the dress putting on you.
I wanted to explain something else here. This is I'm going to read from what the script called for, and you can see the difference between that and what we actually see in the finished episode. So Smith gets woken up by the monster. The monster is an awesome combination of many animals with eyes, ears, and nose out of their proper place. He has ugly fangs and webbed fingers on the body of a gorilla. He roars back to Smith as he reacts in terror. And no, we get a Dawson bomber, God bless him, our native creature. The suit is obviously a mask on top of a suit. And you can even see where it separates in a couple of scenes. And you can clearly see the zipper in the back. But even Marvello, the magician, was introduced differently. It says he was supposed to appear on top of the rock shelf. And it says Marvello appears on the rock shelf dramatically. He's about 50 with a small satanic beard, dressed in a resplendent cape with glittery eyes and the galactic equivalent of a top hat. He is a pitch man of the first order, a personage who cultivates mystery about himself and gives out an aura of excitement. Smith stares at him in terror. So you can see that that's, I mean, it's very descriptive. It does look good on paper, but. And they say one difficulty too, and they said, and it's not his fault.
Well, it was more comedic. That introduction was more comedic than terrifying.
Absolutely. The thing is that James Westerfield, playing Marvello, was mostly known for likable, lovable characters. And another note here that I read in the book, he was ordered to be on set for 5 days for filming, and he was drunk every single one of the episodes. But they were happy that he at least knew his lines.
Oh, gosh.
All right. Hey, welcome, Jim.
Hello.
Hello, Jim, and hello, Stone Racket.
Hello.
Wait, it's Stone. Oh, shoot, there's only one R.
Good evening, good people.
Hello.
Good to see you, and welcome to the Lost in Space stream.
I have finally made it.
Hello.
Yes,
Hey.
you have.
Yeah. So I did say hello to Jim here, and Scurvy here says conglomerate is a geological term. Okay.
Very cool. Thank you. And so now we're introduced to the circus. And of course, we have to have our circus strongman.
Yeah, why were we even introduced to him? He doesn't do anything.
He doesn't do well because that's a stereotype of the old days.
But
I
he uproots a tree. Isn't that enough?
Right.
Sure, I guess.
What they're trying to relay is the feeling of a traveling, not necessarily a circus, but a traveling sideshow. And I actually saw one when I was young, where they would have what they called freaks and other acts like that. And part of the sideshow was like the bearded woman, the fat lady, the strong man, and he's always got that wide leather belt. That's it. It's like a cliche.
Yeah. Well, I just thought he was supposed to be eye candy, and the bearded lady ain't no freak no more. Not nowadays.
Yeah, neither is the fat lady.
No, but
right, that is a strange thing.
No, but Jill, as being the only woman on the panel here, you should appreciate the eye candy they gave you in this episode.
I missed it, but thanks for the effort.
That may not be her kind of candy, Gorilla.
Oh, I can make so many comments to that, but I'll be nice.
Yeah, the old strong man. He's only in a couple of scenes after this, like not very much at all.
Here's one of the something I mentioned about the food purifier. The fact that the food purifier is not in working condition, and therefore they all face possible starvation, is not made clear until the second act. This point can easily be made in a teaser and would help us to understand Will's reluctance to invite Marvello and his troupe to dinner. So that was another thing that was changed from the original teleplay, was they did add it to the teaser. In fact, that's the opening lines is what they were talking about, which was a good idea in my opinion. And I'll be covering the names a little later of each of the actors. But I want to, because you guys are bringing up the strong man, I want to mention he's only did a few roles at the time. I'll go into more detail later. He owned a restaurant in LA, and he was using these acting performances to help fund his restaurant.
Oh, cool.
Interesting.
So anyway, back to that. Sorry about the distraction.
No, that's interesting. I did not know that. That's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's the great thing about the book, is it has so many details like that.
Yeah. So apparently his acting roles or his restaurant wasn't doing too good.
Well, like all restaurants, it never hurts to have extra money. But what's interesting is I've got to find it because I read this it's a whole chapter, and I read the whole thing earlier today in preparation, and I'm having to hop back and forth depending on what we talk about. but he basically played that same character in other TV shows, westerns. I think the Wild Wild West or something at the time. But he only did a few, like I said, appearances.
Oh, well, that explains why he wasn't in the episode too much. He was too busy providing craft services.
Harry Turk Barterizian played Vico the Strongman. He was 42, and he was co-owner of Turk's Restaurant in Long Beach, California, which opened in 1965. His short screen career primarily consisted of small roles on 1966 and 67 TV shows, such as A Wrestler on the Virginian and A Circus Strongman on Get Smart. Jobs all taken to help supplement the income of a struggling restaurateur. James Westerfield, who plays Marvello, was paid $1,500. The monster considerably less. Melinda Fee, who is I don't know, I'm getting ahead of myself.
There she is.
And Michael Green, the other guy with the weird contraption that we never really see what it does. They were both paid $600 each for 3 days on the set.
All we know is it could incinerate the planet.
It could. And I'll cover that later in the script. He was supposed to like juggle fireballs and all this kind of crazy stuff. But yes, we are introduced to each of our circus performers. I don't know. It's called Space Circus, but it's more of a freak show, and there is a difference. A space or a circus has a trapeze, has a clown, performers, like on unicycles, 3 rings, all that stuff. But they're not
talent based versus spectacle.
Correct. Yes.
Hey, Pop.
Yes, sir.
Let's retitle this episode Cosmic Freak Show.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I think, and then also because the infamous movie Freaks, it got to the point where even by the 60s, that was kind of a taboo word to use.
Yeah. How about, Cosmic Sideshow?
The Cosmic Sideshow, yeah. That would have been a little more accurate. Thank you.
Yeah. See, Cosmic makes it sound so much better.
Instead of space.
Like it's not just a beast, it's a cosmic beast.
That's true.
Yeah, they always love to have cosmic stuff in a lot of episodes in this show, it seems.
Yes, indeed.
And they do have the cosmic beast.
Well, I'd be disappointed if we didn't have anything cosmic.
That's true.
Yes, I come to expect it that they should have cosmic at least every 3 episodes or so.
Hey, we are starting a new drinking game for everybody in the chat. We are starting a new drinking game for every episode. Every time they say cosmic, everybody takes a shot.
That's a good one, girl.
Warning, danger, danger.
Yeah.
Dr. Smith will sing and dance in this episode.
Yeah.
Yes.
But a disclaimer here, Grill is not responsible for any alcohol poisoning.
No, he is not. And don't try this at home, kids. But Marvello is describing the act, and the clairvoyant woman basically says that she's unable to find her jewelry. And then Penny points out that it sounds like she's not very clairvoyant, which is the underlying truth of those freak shows. Yes, sometimes they were actually deformities, but sometimes they were also fake. I guess you could say fake or exaggerations.
It was actually Will. I wish they would have given that line.
Oh, Will,
that
thank
line
you.
to Penny.
I'm glad I have you here to help correct me, Jill. But yeah, because that would have been better if it was Penny's lines, right?
Yeah.
Indeed. More lines for Penny.
Actually, Penny did get a lot of lines in this episode, though, more than she often does.
And as
Which
usual,
was a nice change. Oh,
Judy.
Poor Judy. Poor Judy doesn't get much of anything.
Yeah, she's sidelined big time.
Yeah. But Penny, they gave her quite a few lines, like at least in the first part of the episode, and then she seems to kind of become invisible halfway through, like we don't see her as much. But it was nice change to see Angela Cartwright actually getting an opportunity to show off her acting skills once again.
Yeah, the opening of this episode featured my 3 favorite characters. That would be Will, Penny, and the robot.
Oh,
Unfortunately, they were accompanied by a 4th character. But
I thought you were going to say Dr. Smith for sure.
oh no,
Yeah,
he's
Dr.
he's at the
Smith.
very bottom
At the very
of my
Doctor-
list of favorites.
It must be hard for you to watch the show then, since it pretty much centers on him.
He was a cringe factor even when I was a child watching this series.
Yeah, Dr. Smith is pretty annoying in this episode once again. He's a
Yeah.
lot smarter. Like he's not like the goofy Smith we saw, just the episode before or whatever. He seems to be a little more, conniving again, but he's still extremely annoying.
And once again, all he can think about is a way to get back to Earth
Yep.
for his own self once again.
Mm.
And of course, go ahead, Jill.
He never seems to worry about his own safety, really. He just throws himself at anybody who might take him there too.
Well, yeah, you're right. Like here, he puts his full trust into these people that he just met.
James
course-
James Westerfield. Can I give you a bit of trivia from
Sure.
Mark Cushman's book? He's Marvello, and he was drunk all through this production.
Yeah, they said they were just lucky to
he
was
he
able to
he
say the lines.
yeah, he got his lines perfect. Everything was fine, but he was I think one of the people that Mark interviewed said that Westerfield was as drunk as a skunk.
So I guess he'd be considered a functional drunk, I
A
guess.
very functional drunk.
I don't know if that would be tolerated these days.
Oh
Oh
no.
hell no!
No.
Because the insurance companies would have a hissy fit over that.
And
Yeah,
for all
they
you
would,
all
wouldn't
you old geezers like myself, you guys know that whenever Dean Martin was on TV acting like a drunk, you know that was all an act, right?
Yeah.
they? Yeah.
Yeah.
But that was his shtick, and it worked for him.
Did you speaking of Dean Martin, Pop, did you see were you there when they had that episode where, Dean would always jump on the piano and they built that fake piano and he jumped on it and it completely collapsed?
Is that from the Dean Martin show?
Yeah, it was the Dean Martin show. They did that intentionally as a gag, and they kept it
Oh.
in the aired broadcast. They kept it on the tape. But that's a
no.
famous gag that they did.
I need to find that on YouTube. I appreciate it.
Yeah, I hope they have it on YouTube. I haven't looked for it, but that's something I remember from way back.
I know there was a point where they had some of the episodes on YouTube, but it's been
Yeah.
a while since I was watching them.
So did Dean know this was going to collapse before he
No.
jumped there?
Oh no.
Oh, no. Oh, my.
And that's like, well, they kind of took a chance, but
Ouch. He must
I
have-
guess he was a good sport because they kept
Yeah.
that whole sequence on when they actually aired the episode.
It's a good thing he didn't get injured because that would
Well, really, yeah.
Wow.
So Marvello bids adieu to Dr. Smith. They've already hatched a plan where Dr. Smith, like I said, wants to head back to Earth. And then Dr. Smith heads towards the Jupiter too. And now with the circus performers, they come up pretty much and complain to Marvello. And she says that she can't find her jewelry. And he explains that he had to sell them so that they can all dine sumptuously, he says. I guess he may be overestimating the Robinson's food supply.
Thing
Well,
is, too. Oh, go ahead. Were you
Go
going to
ahead,
say
Jill.
something?
Oh, the way that he delivered this line, it made me feel like this was one of those Twilight Zone episodes where they were carrying around those How to Serve Man books.
Oh no.
Well, it did, yeah, because Right, that line is a hint of more how the script was, because, like I said, the script he was a lot darker in that, and he had an underlying danger to him. So, coming out of this actor in this episode, I guess it doesn't quite fit right, but they wanted to add that sinister touch, obviously, before they go to commercial.
But it turns out they really just wanted dinner.
The thing is, too, I found interesting when he mentioned about he had to sell her jewelry off to buy food. I was thinking, well, our little space circus isn't doing that well then, really. If you got to, hawk one of your performers' jewelry items to, pay
Yes.
for food, like,
It
wow.
really doesn't make sense that you have the ability to fly around the galaxy, but you don't have food. Like
Exactly. Yeah,
This
You
is
think,
I
oh,
figured
you
that
sell
too.
your ship and get food.
yeah,
That was very weird. Yeah.
yeah, Jill. This is an extremely well constructed, well written series. Time after time after time.
And I note about that last scene. I want to describe how it was in the script, and that way you can see the difference between that and when we got on film. The flaws from this episode were in the realization of the script, not in the teleplay itself. At the end of Act 1, which we just saw, Finestra, Vico, and Nubu are all reluctant to put on a performance for a mere supper with the Robinsons, and are therefore not open-minded to Marvello's grander scheme. He threatens them with the monster, telling them, "I'm sorry to have to intimidate you. I consider you as my children, my small family, so to speak. But no family exists without discipline." The script then tells us he pulls the lever, the monster growls, comes out, advances on Finestra, Vico, and Nubu. They are too scared to move. When Act 2 begins, the monster is advancing and growling, and the three potential victims are terrified. As the monster almost reaches them, Finestra, in a low voice, terrified, says, "You win, call him off."
All right. Hey, we got a lot of chats here. Can we catch up on them real
Yes,
quick?
and that gives my voice a minute to rest. Thank you, Gorilla.
Yeah. Well, welcome Cam. He says, good to see us all on the panel here.
Hey,
Says,
Cam.
Hi, Cam.
Okay, we got a lot here. It goes, Cam says, who's on bottom? You are covered up. That'd be Stoner Racket.
I can't see myself.
Yeah. And
Oh, now I can.
There we go. That's better. Thank you.
But Pop, you're supposed to be on top. Oh,
yeah.
Don't take
This
that out.
is fine.
Oh, please.
Everybody knows I'm here.
Okay.
Yeah. And Scurvy here says Dr. Smith will get jiggy with it. Or jiggy means.
He's talking about the dancing scene.
Yeah. And Cam says, Scurvy, thanks. I figured it out. I just popped in to say hi and drop a like while I spoke. Have fun, everyone. Might be back. Cheers.
Thank you,
Cheers
Cam. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's great. It's great to see you, Cam.
And welcome, Suzanne. She's saying hi to everyone here.
Hi again,
And
Suzanne.
Scurvy says, all I am drinking is water, so I'm drinking game. Isn't that exciting? But I'm likely to switch over to beer or wine soon.
Yeah, I'm having Mountain Dew.
I'm going with Mountain Lightning.
Vitamin water.
Just water. The drinks get more and more boring as we describe them.
Well, I would have something else to drink here, but I got my kid tonight, and I'm not feeling like drinking, and I lost my place here.
You were going through Suzanne's chats. A lot of Suzanne saying hi to people.
Oh, shoot. Jim. Oh, here we are. Suzanne, says, Suzanne, hi, my friend. Nice to see you. Have fun. It's more size there. No wonder we had so many chats. Everybody's saying hi to each other. Scurvy says, Suzanne is peppering the chat with hellos. And welcome, Taylor Swift.
Finally.
Taylor Swift.
There he is.
Hey, Matchy.
And Scurvy says, hi, Taylor Swift. And welcome, Low Specs Linux Laptop, but we get a penguin.
Hello there, Low Spec. It's good to see you. Welcome,
Okay,
welcome.
maybe there weren't as many. There we go. We're all caught up.
Yes,
Thank-
of course, because the Linux mascot is a penguin.
And here we have Marina and the girls preparing their hydroponic garden. Obviously, since the food purifier is out of order, they need to try to start creating some food as soon as they can. And I keep thinking it was just last week Dr. Smith was eating fried chicken, but oh well.
Well, they only had so much of that frozen, and they just ran out of it.
I guess, yeah.
Smith
Maybe-
ate it all, of course.
Maybe they stopped at the Cosmic KFC, I guess.
Oh boy! And of course,
It was in the corner, but in one of those tubes where they were going to be in suspended animation, they just had a bunch of fried chicken in one of them. If you are paying attention.
I like that.
and of course, our ladies are preparing the food yet again in an episode.
Right, and Penny's all excited, and she's trying to tell the other ones about the circus.
It's
And about the
incredibly
invitation.
exciting.
And here we get the men working on the food purifier.
What kind of blight is this? Is this bacteria? What is it? I don't understand.
He
Blight
mentions
is-
the word blight, but he didn't say exactly. You're right. And that looks like a poinsettia that I'm guessing that he put inside to the first time. I'm not really good with plants, but the only isn't the poinsettia, but I'm butchering that. But isn't that the Christmas plant that's red and green?
And poisonous too.
Poinsettia, yeah.
That's
it is red and green. Yeah, this looks a little different, a little similar. I'm not sure. I'm not a botanist.
And of course, they're trying out the machine, and it pretty much fries the plant. Here it is. This is the part you were telling me about, Jill.
Yeah, this is the part you missed.
So even Maureen wants to see the performance.
Well, once again,
Yeah.
Marina is the peacemaker.
Yeah, and the kids are willing to give up their rations. Not that they actually do. No one actually states that they actually give up their rations in order to have this circus, but
Well, exactly.
they're willing to.
Right. Exact lost in space. God forbid we ever see the kids go one night without dinner, right?
I love this scene
Oh.
too. Smith's going to wander off with a bag full of something. And does Dawn actually look in the bag just to double check that he's not like stealing weapons again or something? It's like, no, of course he doesn't.
No, but this is where they tell Smith, "We want you to help us." And then and then Smith, of course, finds an excuse to leave, and then he does leave. And then Professor Robinson says they could probably work a lot faster without him anyway.
That was
Yeah,
a good line.
Yeah, no sense. Well, would you
That sounds
trust-
like us.
Well, whatever task they would have given him, if he was had to carry something, he would drop it, and then it would blow up.
Right.
We're always asking, why do you ask Smith to do anything? And they
Exactly.
finally figured it out.
Yeah, you
Right,
think by now
right.
they would have learned, right? Yeah. So they're talking about the blight.
Before Tiny Tim, there was Zachary Smith.
And it's funny how Dr. Smith says that old tune, like it was a long time ago, when actually it was actually very topical at the time. Tiny Tim was making a big name for himself at the time, performing on television. He was on every show at the time.
Well, that was 2 years away. Yeah.
After,
Yeah, it was on Laugh-In, and then he was on Carson. That started in '68.
Yeah, I
With
remember
the old Tiny Tim.
he
How
was
could
a
you forget
phenomenon.
Tiny Tim on Laugh-In?
He was a big star for a few years there. Like,
Yeah,
it was crazy.
It was mind-boggling. It's like, why was he famous?
I never got the appeal.
he was an
personally.
oddity. He was an oddity.
Yeah, and then of
Well,
course he got married on the Tonight Show. You all know about that.
Yeah, I remember that.
Yeah.
I guess it's
But-
interesting that we mentioned freak shows earlier because now that we're talking about Tiny Tim.
Exactly.
I actually saw a little bunch of horror movie once where he was a killer.
Wow.
Really?
Yeah, I
Gee.
didn't try to find it.
That might be good for the Tuesday night streams, Bob.
There's another low budget horror movie where Gary Burghoff was the killer. Radar from that.
Oh my
man.
goodness.
Wow. That's
But
incredible.
for the younger people on the panel, Jill and Gorilla, you probably never heard of Tiny Tim, have you?
No, the only Tiny Tim I know about is from the Christmas Carol. So
It's that crippled kid, ain't it?
Yeah.
Yeah,
Well,
Christmas
this
Carol.
Tiny Tim was not crippled. He was a tall, kind of hippie-ish kind of guy.
Long hair.
Wore a suit and tie, but he had long, scraggly hair, and he had a little ukulele, and he would always sing "Tiptoe Through the Tulips"
With a very high voice.
with a very
first-
high voice.
Very.
I first heard "Tiptoe Through the Tulips" from a Looney Tunes cartoon with the Pepe Le Pew.
Well, it was an old song, was it not?
Yeah.
If I remember.
Yeah, it was around before Tiny Tim even.
Yeah.
Yeah. First time I heard it was on Ramblin' Canucks. Someone got drunk and lost a bet, so he had to sing "Tiptoeing Through the Tulips."
Oh wow. Oh gosh.
It's almost like an old minstrel song. So yeah, I never really looked to see how far back it's dated, but
Yeah, I
it's
never
a
looked
very
it up,
simple song, kind of repetitive.
but I think it is quite old. Actually, I can take a look and see if I can find it here.
So Smith's idea is to do a song and dance, because obviously that's the deal he made with Marvello, that he wants to do an act. I love it when they show Marvello's reaction later when he sees the actual performance.
Love that alliteration.
Right, and originally in the script, it called for Smith's straw hat and cane should be made from materials found on the planet, and obviously fashioned by Smith. But once again, they didn't have time for that.
It was nice that Smith brought his hat and cane along for the ride, though. I mean,
Right, but when they left the planet, they said only bring the essentials, and Smith was like, "This is essential."
Right.
Well, as much as his back's always killing him, the cane is essential. He needs it to help him walk. Cause yes, oh my poor back. Right. Oh, the pain.
Right, and he has to have that hat to keep the sun out of his poor eyes.
By the way, Tiptoe Through the Tulips was published in 1929.
That's about right. That makes sense.
It was written by Al Dubin lyrics and Joe Burke, made popular by guitarist Nick Lucas, who I've never heard of. And then, of course, Tiny Tim in the 60s, made it huge. So, cool.
Yeah. So, would it be going into the public domain next year then?
I'm not sure, actually.
Or what if it's already there?
Usually it's 96 years at the longest.
Well, some things are even sooner. Like I've been, getting ready to prepare, even though it's a few months away, but I'm getting ready when we cover the 3 Gilligan's Island movies, and at least one of them are already in the public domain.
Well, they have to renew the copyright after 24 years, or they have to do something with the show or movie there before that expires there. That's why a lot of stuff is doing like remakes and stuff like that. But that's also why you got like the 70s movies like A Boy and His Dog is in public domain, but yet like Mickey Mouse just went
Steamboat Willie. Yeah.
Just went in the public domain.
Not completely.
Well, I mean, I'm just using that as an example.
Yeah, because Disney doing everything they can to hold on to that.
Yeah, it doesn't have any information about public domain on the Wikipedia article. It's actually fairly short. It's only like 3 paragraphs long, so it hasn't got a read.
What you have to do is you have to type in. Sorry, go ahead, Jill.
This says it is. It is in the public domain now.
Oh, good. Okay.
Right, you just type in "is" and then whatever you're wondering in the public domain.
Oh, right. Okay. By the way, Tiny Tim scored a number 17 song in the United States that year with that song.
It was a novelty song.
Amazing.
All right, guys. We got a couple chats here, and one of them is pertinent to something I just said.
Thank you, Gorilla.
We're getting something here. I can't tell what it is for Taylor Swift.
Looks like steaks.
Bunch of steaks. We're all getting steak dinners.
Yummy.
I'll fry up I'll broil the lobster I got in the freezer.
Oh.
Huh. Scurvy here says all Smith needs is a 1/1000th chance. Yeah, and Scurvy here says Tiny Tim was played music and was odd.
Yes, he was.
He
And
was eccentric.
urgent. This is very urgent. Pay attention. A boy and his dog takes place in 2024 in the movie. So basically, we're going to turn into a bunch of deserts here from a nuclear apocalypse. Just saying.
Oh, that's a
Chirp,
cool movie.
chirp,
Now,
chirp,
now I'm depressed.
I haven't seen that movie in ages.
Right, which means I guess a lot of us will be moving underground.
It's basically the inspiration for Fallout. The video games.
It makes sense. The story is different than the movie, but I'd say at least they tried. It's it's hard to film Harlan Ellison.
It's hard to do anything with Harlan Ellison since he was probably going to sue you.
Well, I think at the end of it says Cordwainer Bird or whatever, doesn't it?
I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah.
Now this illusion is just incredible, isn't it, folks?
Oh, I was totally convinced. Oh, for sure.
Well, I'm sure.
All gasping.
If you're a
Oh,
child,
man.
you're probably wondering.
We're getting paid for this, everybody.
I guess maybe on an old 60s TV, it might have actually been more effective, but yeah, it looked pretty bad, actually.
Well, and it's funny too because the Robinsons are really excited watching it. So
They are a few feet back, though, so maybe, maybe they did.
Well, they've been deprived. They don't exactly have television.
Well, I was going to say, in all fairness, they've been out and lonely in space with just themselves for 2 years, pretty much, with
Yeah.
an occasional visitor.
Yeah, I suppose.
I have notes about this scene. The monster, this is in the script. The monster approaches Vico. They grapple and begin to wrestle. Vico is rather hammy, giving forth with looks at great pain, moans, and sighs. He tosses the monster back, and then the monster grabs him and tosses him. Vico goes flat on his back, the wind knocked out of him. The monster beats his chest like a gorilla and starts toward the Robinsons, growling. Something has gone wrong. Vico is not acting. Marbello concentrates intensely. The monster stops dead in its tracks as it is, if transfixed, and turned off. Oh, that's another thing too. It was a mechanical monster in the story.
Oh, well, he's supposed to be a robot.
Yeah, it's supposed to give electronic noises.
That would have been cool.
Would have made the cosmic part make a little more sense.
It would have made it a lot more fun, too, than having a guy in a furry suit.
The reason why, and I forgot to mention, I feel bad, but at the beginning when the monster was pushing on Smith's shoulder when Smith was asleep, the original sound effect in the script was growling and electronic beeping, and that's the reason why Smith says, "Go away, you silly goose," and he thought it was the robot because he heard the electronic beeping.
That makes sense.
That would have
Oh, it would have
made
made
a lot more
sense.
sense.
Exactly.
Oh, boy.
One thing I forgot to mention on this back at this scene is that the robot is shown as not singing very well, but this contradicts several previous moments where he could sing very well. So I am under the headcanon assumption that the robot is singing poorly just as an act of defiance, so that he doesn't have to be included in Dr. Smith's act.
And I agree with it. And also, thank you for pointing that out. This is the first time where we get Dick Tufeld, the narrator, singing as the robot. Remember, previously it was Bob May on the inside singing.
Oh.
And so you could tell the voice is much louder and clearer. You could tell it's because it's ADR or dubbed over like most of the robot voice. Sorry, Gorilla, go ahead.
Dang it, Jill, you took away one of my F's. Now, I got a question I've seen that's long past you. You know that smoke effect? Is that robot completely sealed, or did the person inside just have to sit there and get a face full of smoke?
You said as a robot, what?
Remember when he did the smoke charge there that stopped the robot there when they first met him?
Oh, at the beginning?
Yeah.
Okay, what about it? Sorry.
Was that robot pretty well sealed, or did the guy inside get a blast of smoke in his face?
Well, he was fine, but remember, he also smoked cigars.
Yeah, didn't Bob May actually smoke inside the costume at times? Like,
Yes.
Well,
which is
well, I
crazy.
smoke, and that would still bother me having that all that smoke going in
Yeah, I
there.
think I'd asphyxiate if I was smoking a
Well,
cigar in the
you
robot
guys
suit.
have to remember, it's like the fog machines they had on set. The smoke wasn't the kind that makes you cough. It was artificial.
Okay.
So the props aren't working too well here with this golden goblet that didn't seem to exactly work the way it should have.
Well, they explained that as even the golden goblin trick fell flat. It was just a cheap looking plastic goblet on a very visible wire. What the production people failed to convey was what the Duncans, the writers, requested. And that was when Will looks into the cylinder, there would be such a bright light coming out of it that he couldn't see anything hanging inside it as if his life depended on it.
Mm.
But instead, we're all like wondering, well, doesn't he see it hanging in there?
Yeah, it sounds like the script was so much better than the episode is filmed.
I can imagine, yeah, because they've got 5 or 6 days total, and there's like, come on, next one, time for that. Come on, next.
Well, it doesn't end up using the string. It's just Will now has superpowers.
Yeah, suddenly out of nowhere, right? Suddenly he can make things appear.
I'm actually a bit surprised that Irwin Allen didn't want some kind of rewrites when the script was so complicated, because it would have been very complicated to produce some of that stuff in such a short amount of time, right? And I'm surprised Irwin didn't actually step in like he usually does and, demand some rewrites,
Well, he did. There was his notes. There was.
Okay.
The fact that I should have noted earlier. Allen wrote to Tony Wilson. The part I mentioned earlier about the food purifier should be mentioned in the first act, not the second.
Mm.
So that was Irwin Allen's idea. And also, ending of Act 1 should be more exciting if it was concluded with a shot of the monster advancing on Vico, Nubu, and Finestra. But remember, they wrote that entire scene out.
Mm.
And it was also Irwin Allen's note saying the straw hat and cane should be made from materials found on the planet. Smith, I'm going to go list them in order of Allen's notes. Smith should explain more clearly his reason for tampering with the food purifier. Also, Smith's second speech, the time it may take to fix the machine should be considerably longer than 5 or 6 days in order to make the situation more serious. And also, Act 3 ending is not very exciting. It could be helped by having Smith back into the monster cage and having the monster grab him by the throat.
Oh, that would be great.
Well, they did show that.
Well, he did, but he didn't go right into the cage, did he? I mean, he was still outside the cage.
No, that's what I'm saying. Have the monster grab him, but back into the monster. Well, it didn't say whether the bars are separating them or not.
Okay, I was taking it too literal, I guess.
Marvella would, of course, save him from certain death. And also, when John, which they'll show later, fighting the cosmic monster, the monster is standing over John, about to claw him. But the network didn't like that. So those are Allen's notes for the script.
Okay, so he was definitely trying to get some positive input into it then.
Right. At least the episode doesn't start with written by Irwin Allen. And everybody else.
Yeah, I'm surprised it didn't have that listed actually in a lot of episodes. Because he did a lot of rewrites.
Yes. So Will magically makes a frog appear, a purple frog. That was one of the things in the script that they were able to carry over into the filmed episode.
One thing I was confused about is Will suddenly has these amazing psychic abilities to like produce living frogs just by thinking about it.
Well, they were trying to set up the lady as not really being clairvoyant at the beginning, but now she can suddenly channel through Will and create objects.
Oh, so Will's using her powers to create the frog.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there's some sort of connection.
Okay.
Yeah, there's a connection between the two that's not explained very well at all.
Yeah, it could have been clearer for sure.
Oh
Yeah.
yeah.
And
Oh,
according
this
to the
lady
book,
who's been a charlatan her whole life suddenly can do this.
right?
Exactly.
But not without Will, or without Will, she's useless, I guess.
Exactly.
But it says in the book, at least we got the purple frog. All they needed was to paint a frog purple, and then, no doubt, a short while later, let it die.
Oh, poor frog.
Yeah, it was. Of course, these days they would paint it with something not deadly, but I don't think they cared about a frog back then.
Oh no, poor frog.
Yeah, frogs, because they
Hmm.
breathe through their skin, don't they, amphibians? So it probably would have suffocated.
Yeah, it probably got sick really quick.
Now I'm
Yeah.
depressed.
I'm surprised they even got that in the episode, but I guess back then kids weren't sophisticated enough
Oh,
to
they
know about
can't say
frogs.
no animals were unharmed in the making of
Yeah.
this.
Yeah, really. Yeah,
And
good old Marvello. He's just never sinister enough, is he? I mean, even that scene, you kind of get a little bit of sinister, but not really.
right, and his claim to fame, his biggest role was from On the Waterfront with
Oh,
Marlon Brando.
wow.
They talked about here the cost reflecting and the budget showing. We're comparing the script to what we saw on the finished product. What was close was the Robinson purification machine. It did call for light effects, smoke, and a wilting plant. The monster's cage was supposed to be bars of light, not like fluorescent bars with lights inside of them. Numu's electronic generator, that big thing that he wheels out,
Ah,
that thing was supposed to manufacture fireballs. So
wow.
all that stuff, which I told you, he was supposed to be gambling, and he was supposed to be, juggling. But in the script, he was not a very good juggler, and sometimes he would drop some of them and had to pick them up. So apparently, all that was happening off screen as he was talking to Finestra.
Yeah, the original script is so much more ambitious than what they actually ended up with.
Yep. And this was the episode, first Lost in Space episode for these writers.
Yeah, they actually did quite a few episodes to follow, did they not, Punk?
They did.
Yeah.
They had a extensive history with the director and with Irwin Allen.
Mm.
And of course, Will wants to go. Will's still being humble about the whole affair. He's not even that excited about his newfound powers. And here's where we get our reveal of Dr. Smith's horrible, terrible act. And thank you for getting that shot.
That's
what I was
great.
talking about.
That's
what I was
how we
talking
all
about.
feel.
Yeah, that's excellent. The look on his face when he sees and hears this.
That's kind of like my reaction to Dr. Smith in most episodes, actually.
Well, what you need to know is that Will's a scientist, so he doesn't really quite believe that he can suddenly manifest things out of thin air. He thinks it's a magic trick.
Oh, man.
True, they're very true.
Yeah, Smith singing and dancing, that was pretty painful, I gotta say.
Yeah, that wasn't magic.
No,
At
not
all.
magic at all. Actually, he was good. He performed well in that scene, I gotta say. That's very, very good expression.
Well, I'm sure the actor Jonathan Harris was probably much better, but this was written over the top bad, so it was funny. Especially where he's out loud counting 1, 2, 3, 4.
Yeah. And
He-
once again, how did Smith have a background in dance? Like, I don't recall.
He
that.
was the lead. He was the lead in his college musical.
Oh, okay. Oh, right. Okay.
Right, and this is the
forgot that
scene.
line.
Right, and this is the scene where we found out that was all a lie. Obviously, he has no talent. So Marvello realizes that he's going to need an immediate change of plans. He doesn't need Smith. That's not going to do him any good, but he wants Will Robinson for his show.
The best thing about this scene is we hear the robot laugh at Dr. Smith
Yes.
rather mockingly.
Yeah, the
Yeah.
robots. really got to the point now where he's not taking any guff from Smith at all anymore.
Yeah, I like that.
By this point in the series, they pretty much established the characters between the two of them and the rapport.
But the robot still doesn't have any bodily autonomy because Smith can still just take away his power pack.
Yeah,
That is
that's
true.
always so sad.
I always wondered, why would you design a robot with a power pack where anybody grabbing it could disable the robot at any moment? Like,
It's because of the reluctant stowaway episode. That's that whole scene depends on them being able to grab the power pack.
I guess, yeah.
Well, I would be thinking, well, it makes it easy for repairs, like unplugging them. But then you would think for that, you could just have an on and off button, I guess.
Well, you think, yeah, you could just have an on-off switch, right?
Right.
Because, I mean, I always worry that some alien can just run up to the robot and totally, disable them at any moment in an episode, so.
James Westerfield, who played Marvello, one of his best remembered film roles was as Big Mac in 1954's On the Waterfront. During the same year as this, Lost in Space, Westerfield appeared in End of the World, an episode of The Time Tunnel. Melinda O'Fee played Fenestra. She was 23 and beginning in her career, having had small roles on My Favorite Martian and I Dream of Jeannie. Her greatest success was yet to come in the daytime soap operas, including recurring roles on Days of Our Lives and Santa Barbara, among others. She was also a regular on the 1975-76 primetime series The Invisible Man as the wife of series star David McCallum.
Wow. That's cool.
Which was probably her biggest, I don't know if you consider the soap operas her biggest role, but if not, I would say her appearance on primetime's The Invisible Man, perhaps. And I've got something I'm going to share with you guys here really quick. Give me a moment. I've got to get this adjusted for the size. It's always really big.
Keep your voice down, you tarnished trumpet.
Yeah, Smith does get really good with those lines. He gets a lot more creative. It seems like with each and every episode.
There was an English teacher out in California during the original run of Lost in Space that would use Dr. Smith's insults to the robot to teach alliteration to the kids in the classroom.
That's a good idea. I'm sure the kids must have really enjoyed it.
Yeah.
Yeah, this one had bumbling booby, cackling cacophony.
Yeah.
and this one.
Are you keeping a list of all these, Jill?
Well,
We should have
this
been.
one just a few of them that I like. This one in particular, Tarnished Trumpet, was good. And
I'm surprised. Go ahead.
Later we get Sanctimonious Scatterbrain.
Yeah. I'm surprised he didn't, instead of saying bumbling booby, he should have said bumbling bubbleheaded booby.
Which I think we do get eventually.
I think we do get that sometime, but poor robot.
And of course, the false sympathy, like he cares about Will.
Yeah.
And obviously, what I have to say once again is, I know some people don't like the character of Dr. Smith, but his rewrites on these scripts in these episodes was a lot of times the highlight of them, his interaction with the robot. So I think him as the actor, Jonathan Harris, did a really good job of adding additions to the script.
Well, yeah, interjecting some character into a script that may otherwise not have much.
Yes, and humor.
Well, the problem is that nobody nowadays can improv like Jonathan Harris and Robin Williams.
Robin Williams.
Well, no, a lot of the Robin Williams lines that were improvised in a lot of his movies.
Wait, I'm
Even
confused.
today-
Wait. I'm confused. What's the connection? Lost in Space and Robin Williams? I'm sorry.
Jonathan Harris is here. Or
He's talking about
Exactly.
actors in general who write their own lines on occasion. And
Yeah, improvising the lines, because I think a lot of the alliterative lines Harris came up with.
He did.
You know,
He said in an interview that he loved it. He said he would lay awake at night just dreaming and coming up with all these things.
yeah,
yeah,
and
That's
yeah, and the actors nowadays do not have this talent.
Oh no.
Well, that's it. I mean, it's a definite skill to be able to improvise dialogue, or even write it ahead of time, even and make it actually good, which he did obviously have that talent. I just want to mention, since we're bringing this subject up, I'll keep it brief, but watching the old Avengers TV show with Diana Rigg and Patrick McNee, I actually was watching a documentary over the weekend, and it actually had quite a few minutes on the producers of the show actually allowed them to start improvising their dialogue on camera because they were so good. I mean, they actually liked each other so much. They really had a great relationship in real life. And they got to the point, knowing the characters so well that they could just basically go off improvising, witty banter between the two of them. And the producers liked it so much, they just leave it in a lot of scenes. So I thought that was kind of fun.
Well, that's a good point too. And these days, not only are the actors less talented and unable to do this, but a lot of times they have what they call a locked script, where they're not allowed to improvise.
Right. Yeah.
And sometimes that's for the good. But like
Probably.
anybody who's seen Smokey and the Bandit, 90% of Jackie Gleason's lines were all improvised right there on the set.
Oh, okay.
Jackie Gleason, that was Snowman, wasn't it?
No, that's Sheriff Buford T. Justice of Port County,
Sheriff.
Texas.
Oh, Sheriff Buford. Okay, I'm getting my actors mixed up. Okay.
Yeah, Jerry Reed was not a comedian. And Jackie Gleason was a natural. In fact, another quick note for the Honeymooners is, which he was famous for, his series of Honeymooners, he never rehearsed ever. But all the actors did. They would have rehearsals before the live performance because remember it was all live. They would rehearse, and Jackie Gleason always said, "Nope, you want it natural. All the reactions are natural." So he never rehearsed. He had every line already memorized.
yeah, that really was tough for Audrey Meadows when she first started. She was like, "You don't rehearse."
Nope. Yep,
It's like,
exactly.
oh dear.
He must have had an excellent memory, though, to not even need to go, do one run through of the script beforehand. And,
Well, if he forgot a line, he would rub his stomach, and that would cue the others to fill in the gap.
Fill it
Right,
in. Okay. Wow.
And also, he would hesitate, and that's where also the line came humna humna humna. He would do that sometimes.
Yeah.
Yeah, actually, that was a great part of the Honeymooners when they do the humna 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 thing. I love that show.
Yeah, it's
gosh,
classic.
Great show.
So here's where the men have noticed that the food sterilizer, hopefully I got it right this time, is not working because Dr. Smith had changed all the settings on it. And they're not only is it not working, but they've noticed that it's further away from working than it was the night before.
yeah, because he's trying to convince Will that the only way to save his family is to leave unceremoniously with this circus troupe.
I'm not
Yeah,
sure
but-
how would that save the family from starvation, though.
Well, he was
It
saying
would-
basically one less mouth to feed.
Well, okay.
Two
Would be
less.
two, yeah, with
Well, yeah,
Smith
yeah.
and Will.
True.
Well,
So that's about 3 because Smith always has seconds.
That's right.
so that would give them like an extra week maybe to survive.
Oh, you got it.
Oh man.
And here's where, he, of course, conniving. He gets Will away from everybody else. And basically is convincing him to leave. But he always makes it towards Will's idea. So he always plants that idea in his head by using chicanery and deceit.
And oh yeah, now he's making a sacrifice. He's gonna
Of
go
course.
along with Will, and
The
yeah,
supreme sacrifice, of course, even.
he wasn't promised to ride to Earth or anything.
That's
No,
right.
no.
He's not conniving and manipulative. He's actually a heroic figure in his mind.
Right. He's doing all this for Will, right?
Yep.
And this is where Marvello tells him that he basically needs Finestra. And he sends Will off to go rehearse with her or practice. And this is the note that Irwin Allen added in the script where you wanted a little excitement at the end of this act. I know the monster wasn't very convincing. I think I'd have to say that Janos Prohaska may be a little better with his costumes, but then he specialized in them, I would say. So like the Magato, I'd say looks better than this creature here.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
Yeah, that's Dawson Palmer in the suit.
Yep.
And that suit is from. Oh, go ahead.
Welcome Edge of Time.
Hello, Edge of Time. Good to see you there. Glad you're here. Sorry, go ahead there, Stone Racket.
Yeah, I was going to say that that's the abominable snowman from Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea.
Yeah.
They love to reuse props and costumes over
That's
and
right.
over.
Exactly right. It was. I remember as a kid, it was always fun spotting that stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hey, I would say this would be the best episode ever. If Will walked up to the cosmic monster there, gave him a tin can so it could just run the tin can across the steel bars there.
Except they were
harmonica.
right.
So can we catch up on a couple chats here real quick?
Yep, thank you, Gorilla. I appreciate it.
Scurvy says you have to give props to Dr. Smith on the hat, though. Yeah, he can pull it off. Then he said, "Darn his trumpet, slam." And said, "There is a list online of all of Dr. Smith's insults for the robot."
Oh boy.
Cool. Then Edge of Time says, "Gaslighting for fun and profit." Yeah, they're Ferengis. They're Ferengis. Yeah. That's what they are.
Yeah, I can't remember the name of it, but there's like, for example, there's that website that's like Star Trek Wikipedia. There's also one for Lost in Space, Gilligan's Island, etc.
Just take the name of the show that put wiki after it. So this would be Lost in Space Wiki.
Thank you. Got it.
Yeah.
Well, from that. Go ahead.
Edge of Time says, "Greetings from the Edge of Time." We're all caught up.
Greetings and hello. Good to see you.
Yeah, from this shot of the frog, there's a lot that they didn't cover with paint, so that's a good sign.
Yeah, it is. So Will, unbeknownst to everybody, is saying goodbye, but none of them really can figure out why. So even though you can pretty much tell it's like the way he's relaying his words, that it's pretty much the last goodbye, and he even gives Penny his frog.
Yeah, Penny should have known something was up when he gave the frog to her. Like, often Will's not that generous towards Penny.
It'd been nice if Penny would have said, "Thanks, Will. I can feed it to the bloop."
well, the thing is, Penny should have known something was up when Will just said to Judy that he liked Judy as his sister and didn't say anything equivalent to Penny.
Yeah. Well,
that's true, right? He gives her a frog.
He gives her a frog. But of course, Penny loves animals, so.
Yeah. This show has the same problem that a lot of Star Trek does. Somebody's acting completely different and nobody notices it. But, like, for example, he's talking to his mom there, and what do you do? What do you do for his mom there? You like
give her a kiss on the cheek.
Yeah. See, if that was real life, there, he would have. She should have been acting like my ex did when I bought her flowers one time. Okay, what did you do? What did you do? Come on, tell me. What did you do? What did you do?
Just for future reference, Gorilla, never mention Star Trek and Lost in Space in the same sentence, or I may blow a gasket. No.
Unfortunately, you'll quite often find us.
Oh, that's just kidding.
I must say though that Star Trek was generally much better at people not behaving totally out of character. Like, though it did happen from time to time.
It didn't have
sure.
this. It didn't have the strict censorship that this did.
Mhm.
You know, it was in a completely different vein, different
Yeah.
time slot.
Yeah.
Yeah, CBS
also-
really put the kibosh on so much.
A lot.
It was ridiculous.
Just think how lucky we were that CBS didn't pick up Star Trek, because they could have, right?
Yeah,
Oh,
they turned
yeah.
down
And they could have put it in the family hour, and then the
Right.
Trek we know would never have existed.
right. CBS turned down Trek and then picked up Lost in Space.
Yep.
I find that in itself kind of humorous, actually.
Especially because the two ended up competing against each other.
Oh man.
Well, I
That's
have a
good.
theory that the reason why Gene says no pirates in space is because of Lost in Space.
I would
How
not
do
be
you
surprised.
explain Harry Mudd then, Jill?
I know. Well, there are a few pirates.
Oh,
but
okay.
it's a general rule. I think it's in the writer's guide.
Is in the Bible? Wow.
Well,
the
Harry
writer's
Mudd's
Bible?
more of a con man than a pirate.
Yeah, but that belt he wears, he kind of looks pirate-like. At least I
Well,
always thought so.
Yeah, that's true.
And he's got the mustache, and
I want to point out here that Bob and Wanda Duncan, who, this was their first Lost in Space episode, but according to the book here, they were really easily able to slip right into writing the characters. And they knew the characters really well because they had children who were fans of this show.
Oh,
So, yeah, by the time they wrote it, they knew the characters.
I don't know that.
And Gorilla, you've been trying to say something. What is it? Sorry, sir.
I did say what I was good. Oh, Stone Racket there. You said that they push your buttons, but just remember, I'm the guy that'll sit there and push every button on the elevator just to piss people off.
Oh no.
Well, that's fine as long as you get off of it first before it continues along its way, right?
Right.
Speaking of the elevator, I went out to get groceries that I badly needed last night, and I go to the elevator, and guess what? There's a sign on the elevator saying "Out of commission, maintenance technician waiting for parts. Please use stairs." And I'm like on the 3rd floor, so I got to walk down 6 flights of stairs with my old, painful knees. And then when I get back, I got to climb up 6 flights of stairs with a heavy bag of groceries, trying not to fall down and end myself. It's like, oh man, what did I do to deserve this? You don't realize how important an elevator is until you don't have it.
Oh, yeah. I have a note here in the book also regarding the change to color and the new planets that surround. Hold on a second.
Oh.
Oh dear.
Sorry about that. That's what I get when I feed my dog. Get up. All right. Hold on a moment. I got to open the book back up.
All right.
Regarding the change. Sorry, go ahead, Gorilla.
Oh, I thought you'd take you a second, so I was going to read the chat real quick, but go ahead.
Regarding the change to color in season 2 and the new planet sets surrounding the wrecked Jupiter 2, including some curious-looking rock formations. Mark Goddard said, "Lost in Space in color. It sounded great, but I was shocked to see myself in color. This was 1966 that is, and I only saw myself in black and white on Johnny Ringo, the detectives, Perry Mason, and many westerns. No kidding. My life changed that year. My world became colorful. On the set, the trees were yellow and violet, and the guest stars, God bless their courage, were dressed in every color imaginable. I'm very grateful for this colorful change in season 2 because I never had to use psychedelic drugs to see life in such a turned-on way. I simply had to go to work each day. And each day I went to the studio to find myself not only surrounded by fantastic colors and unusual creative phallic designs, but I was involved in stories and dialogue that could only be written by writers and story editors who must have been eating colorful mushrooms while sipping colorless drinks.
Speaking of color, I was darn lucky to have a dad that bought a color television set when all three networks went full color in their primetime programming.
Wow.
And so watching Lost in Space in color and Batman, it was like it's jukebox Technicolor kind of.
Wow.
It was amazing. I remember the first time when Dean Aitchison delivered our TV. It was a Sylvania color TV. First thing I saw was a college football game, and I go, the grass is green.
Not gray.
It's not gray anymore. Yeah.
Oh, well, I have to ask, did that make you guys like really popular? Did you start getting a lot of people coming over to watch it or what?
Oh, a few of the neighbors. Oh yeah, but
Okay.
not as much as you'd think.
Well, maybe your dad kept it a secret.
Well, that's a good point. He may have been kind of. It was, of course, all of us mouthy kids.
Right, but you
I
don't
don't
want
think we weren't told to keep it a secret.
right, but you don't want a house full of people every night either, right?
No.
Yeah, I wish we'd had color TV, but my parents didn't buy a color set until 1973, so I
Yeah,
missed out all this great color in the first run.
yeah. A lot of my classmates, it was the same situation. They didn't get color TVs for the most part until like you said, 73, 74.
Yep.
Yeah, it was so expensive. Like when my parents finally bought the 25-inch Quasar, which was huge, it was like $1,200, and even $1,200. I mean, it doesn't sound like much nowadays,
Yeah,
but
it's
back in
actually more than it
73,
is. Yeah, that's actually
Yeah,
a lot
back
more
then
than
it was a
1,200 now.
fortune.
it was quite a bit of money. Yeah, exactly.
The first time I laid eyes on color Lost in Space was I was at a friend's house and his mother had, for the old people, if you guys remember, for a while they had color TVs that had a round tube. So the display wasn't square, 4x3 like we're looking at now, but it was actually
Really?
a round piece of glass like a porthole.
Gosh, I don't remember that.
Yeah,
It was
that would have been the early ones.
yeah, it was a model that came and went really quick.
Yeah.
Yeah, well, who wants a round TV screen, really?
Yeah.
Sounds a bit strange, actually.
Now, what I don't understand is NBC was, strongly affiliated back then with RCA, and they sold color TVs. And Bonanza, a show that started in the fall of 1959, that was shot in color from day one. Yet some of the NBC shows, like The Man from U.N.C.L.E. in its first season in '64, were shot in black and white.
Yes.
It was like,
Yeah,
what?
yeah.
Everything should have been color on NBC.
Right.
Yeah.
If I remember right, I think 66 was the year that everybody
Oh yeah,
swapped
yeah.
over.
Even cheapo CBS, which was the last network to go full color, when they had to. Finally, everything on their primetime lineup was in color.
Yeah, I think
But
all
yeah,
the major networks went color in '66. That was the year
Oh
I
yeah,
remember.
that's what I said is in the
Yeah.
fall that everybody went full color, and there was still daytime stuff that was in black and white, but primetime
Okay.
was all color in the fall of '66.
Thank
and
goodness.
right, it was quite the novelty back then. It was quite the selling point.
Yeah, I mean they used Star Trek and ads to sell RCA color TVs.
Yep.
I'm
and
sure.
magazine ads, I should say.
Yeah, anybody could afford it. I mean, of course, they probably ran out and bought one as quickly as they could. But
I don't know how my dad afforded it, but he did.
He
well,
probably did.
you're lucky.
He probably made payments, I'm sure.
Could be.
Yeah, I know we were living in a duplex. It was a pretty huge duplex. And I know the rent was pretty cheap because the owner liked to help out families, and we had a big
Oh,
family, and so
cool.
the rent he didn't have to worry about too
That's
much.
nice. Wow, that's great.
Very cool.
Mhm.
All right,
Okay,
can I
so
catch up on a couple chats here?
yes, thank you, Gorilla.
Edge Time says, "Hi Pie, there is more than meets the eye." Then Scurvy says, "Edge of Time knows how to rhyme."
There you go.
And Edge of Time says, "His name is Mud." I believe that originated in the Civil War, didn't it?
Yes,
Yeah,
I think that is right. Yeah,
some
that rings a bell.
some person was accusing. They
Oh.
said his name is Mud.
I just want to point out the still Jill's got on screen right now. That line kind of blew my mind, actually, because
Yeah.
That's not a line you're going to see in Lost in Space too often. I thought that was pretty intense
Yes.
for Lost in Space.
Especially during the family hour too.
Yeah.
Yeah, yeah.
I think that's pretty great for.
I thought it was
for,
awesome. Yeah.
For the dad to
It was
show
one of
that
Professor
much care
Robinson's
for his son.
Yeah,
one of his better lines in the series, I thought.
It must have
Yeah.
slipped by the censors.
Yeah.
And for people just listening and can't see this line, it's if anything happens to my son, I'm going to skin you alive.
Right.
John Robinson to Zachary Smith.
Yeah, that was pretty cool.
Yeah, that was pretty
I
intense.
like that. Right. It's nice to see that that Professor Robinson is still serious and he means business.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, because so often, he's underutilized in so many episodes, that it's unfortunate. But it's nice to see when he does get some good dialogue finally.
At this point, Guy Williams, in particular, they said was already unhappy with the direction the series had taken.
I don't blame him.
Yeah.
He said in an interview, Jonathan was the star of the show, and he's an actor with an ego, but he deserved it. He was very popular, and he got to be an actor who can climb up the wall and say it's okay. That's what he was doing because he was overboard as his character, and it really went over big. But he was not a hard actor to direct. Not for me, he wasn't. I got along great with him. So but it came down to it. Guy Williams was at least still getting his paycheck that he was promised, right?
Oh yeah, I just think he must have been somewhat frustrated though, because the first TV show I ever fell in love with when I was a little kid was the Zorro show from the late 50s, early 60s. And Guy Williams in that show, I think that's his best performance in anything. The 2 seasons he did on that, plus I guess there were a few TV movies, and would have been the 3rd season. I thought his performance as Zorro was absolutely fantastic through that entire series. He was obviously the star and the center of attention, and he deserved to be because he was just phenomenal in that show. It's just like even all these years later, and I saw that show like probably 60 years ago or something when I was a little kid. And even like when I was 5, I watched this thing every afternoon because our local station showed it just before the 5 o'clock news or whatever, right? And I was just like totally enthralled with his performance in that show. And as much as I love Professor Robinson and Lost in Space, I can pretty much understand why Guy would have been, quite frustrated after a while.
Yeah, he was considered a hero in South America because of Zorro, and Guy Williams actually lived there for a while.
That's why
he retired to South. Didn't he retire to Argentina?
I think he retired and moved there, and they considered him a hero because of the Zorro series.
Right, he was a really big celebrity.
It was probably big. I imagine they dubbed it into Spanish, and it was probably really big down in South America. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so here's what we have, where Dr. Smith and Will are back at Marvello's ship, and they're getting ready to take off. They already have all their stuff packed.
They say they only have 5 minutes, but they never say why 5 minutes is so vital. Noon.
Well, they already started the countdown 25 minutes earlier. No, it's like, I don't know.
That would have helped.
Well, but for us, the audience, we know that the clock is ticking because the Robinsons are realizing what's going on, and they're headed there to stop it and stop Will from going. So, but they don't really convey that in the script why Marvello has 5 minutes.
Yeah.
And I don't think Marvello knows about the deceit that Dr. Smith pulled on the Robinsons.
I still kind of wonder why Will went along with this so easily, because, I mean, I know Smith manipulated the heck out of him, but it seemed like Will was more than happy just to fly away with these people he just, met a few days ago. And it didn't quite add up for me when I was watching it.
It's because
it was the food synthesizer.
It's because he loves his family and he wants to help them survive.
Yeah. Will's too selfless at times.
But he's also very sentimental. So
Yeah,
he
that's
asked, he
True.
asked Marvel.
True.
that's why I loved watching this when I was, I was 7 years old or 6 years old when it first started, and Will was just awesome. He's very, very respectful to his father, and Will, being a child, he so many times he's the moral superior to Smith, right and
yeah.
left. It was a wonderful thing as a young child to see him on this show.
That's probably one reason it was such a popular show, is because all of us, that were little kids back in the day watching it then, we totally could identify with Will, and just, thought he was awesome, just like you
Yeah.
said. And that's probably one reason we'd come back every week and watch it, right? Because Smith could be totally annoying, but Will was always fun.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Totally agree there.
Can we catch up on chats?
Yeah, thank you, Gorilla.
Wow, lots of chats tonight.
Yeah, and Scurvy here says Primus advertises good, very good, sailing on the high seas.
No, that's
Of
a band,
cheese.
I believe. That's a band and an album I think
Yeah.
they'd made.
Yeah, Scurvy here says cheese is delicious and nutritious.
I do like cheese, the food, and also sometimes the entertainment if it's cheesy enough.
Hey, a stoner racket. Do you want to read this one?
Boy, Edge of Time. He knows about Dwayne Ellett and Floppy, so he must have grown up in central Iowa like me. Edge of Time says, I bet Stone Racket is a Dwayne and Floppy fan. I used to watch Hogan's Heroes and Gilligan's Island after school on the black and white.
Oh.
Yeah, Dwayne Ellett and Floppy, they were on our NBC affiliate out of Des Moines. It was Channel 13, WHO. And of course, their logo was an owl. And yeah, but Dwayne Ellett was a ventriloquist, not a very good one, but his puppet was a dog named Floppy, and he was on at 12:15. Up and Betty Lou Varnum and The House with the Magic Window. Yes.
Wow.
Boy, I think Edge of Time. Wonder who that really is.
So those were
yeah.
like local station kid shows.
Betty Lou Varnum and her husband both worked at WITV, which was in Ames, Iowa. And at that time, when I was growing up watching this, it was a children's show that came on at 9:00 in the morning. And my father, when he worked at WITV, he actually directed Betty Lou Varnum on this children's show.
Cool.
And he also directed the evening news. But WI, they were the big TV station. But once the Des Moines market opened up with their TV stations, things got pretty grim. And my father was laid off. But Betty Lou and the House of Magic Window was a local children's show. And Dwayne Ellett and Floppy, they were a show that came on twice a day, and they showed cartoons. And so he was kind of the host. When I was really young, they had a female host, and Floppy was just a puppet. But then later, Dwayne Ellett was on camera with Floppy, and that lasted many years. Very popular show.
Yeah, sometimes local kids shows can be really awesome. Like I grew up, I'm up in BC, and so
we've got to get back on target, guys. We have to get back to the show. I'm sorry.
Yeah, okay.
Sorry.
I shouldn't have gone off.
No, I apologize, but yeah, we've got to get back to the topic here.
Sure, let's get her done.
Yeah.
Well, it's not like it's a bad chore that we've got to finish, but it's just that we're trying to keep our running time down to a certain amount of time.
Yeah, we're at an hour and 43 or something now, it looks like. So
yeah. And Taylor said, my grandma didn't buy a color TV till the late 90s, outlaw. Saw some Next Generation, I believe Voyager in black and white.
Oh my goodness.
Wow.
Reverse engineered nostalgia, LOL.
Voyager in black and white? Okay, the mind boggles there.
Yeah. And Scurvy here says Jill provides the slides. Antiderivative still. Oh, we're calling you that now, Jill.
Oh, there's your new
I'm
nickname,
going to
Jill.
be making some more of them later for Star Trek.
More nicknames?
No, more slides, more stills.
Edgetime says, I'd wager that's rare grader. And Edgetime says, she's so fast at slides, I call her Antiderivative Bill.
I just know which are the good moments that I need to pause on.
Yeah. Edgetime origin remains as mysterious
Mysterious
as ever.
as ever.
Yeah. Well, Stoner, you're in Iowa there. I'm up by the Iowa Great Lakes.
Cool.
Yeah. All right.
Yeah, I'm in eastern Iowa now.
Oh. Okay.
But
All
yeah, I
right.
grew up in central Iowa. Ames is my hometown.
Oh, gotcha. I've been there once. But
Yeah.
anyhow, so we find out this creature is laser proof apparently.
Right, impervious to laser, which makes no
That's-
sense. You think at
that
least
ma-
minimum.
But
It would
but
burn
it does make sense. He's
If
cosmic.
he's a, but it makes more sense if he's a robot.
There you go.
Yeah, if he was a robot that had some kind of shields or something, that would make a lot more sense.
Yep.
So basically, the monster acts like it's going to attack, and John Robinson shoots it with the laser rifle, and that's when Marbello tells him that the laser has no effect on it. So here's where we get our kind of short battle scene between John Robinson and the creature. And of course, like I said, that this was somewhat edited down because of a couple notes from the censors. And this is kind of, I don't know. You would think she would not help Will, but I guess she did. Because by helping Will, it's just going to screw them over, but oh well, right?
It does seem a bit odd, but oh well.
And that knife doesn't seem like a very good choice, but
Also,
You know,
the
I-
knife seems a little violent for the
Yeah,
family.
if you're impervious to lasers, what is a knife going to do to you?
Exactly.
I know, right?
Yeah.
And also PvP, what you're gonna say is like a knife fight on a family hour show.
It seemed a bit bizarre, to be
Yeah.
honest, when I was watching it last night. Yeah.
It's like, wait a minute, how'd this get through?
Really?
Well, as long
Yeah.
as nobody gets stabbed, there's no blood, right?
Yeah, that's true.
Well, yeah, that's true enough. Yeah.
And this scene in particular was what I mentioned earlier, where you could really see. I mean, no offense to Paul Z, the costume designer, but you could really see the head separate from the mask. The mask separate from the body a lot.
And the
Impervious to
gloves and the
lasers.
feet.
Yeah, the gloves and the feet.
Yeah.
Impervious to lasers, but he couldn't keep his head on straight.
And reminder, everybody, please vote in the chat if you have not done so. We're
Oh, I
going to
did that.
cover the
I
results
did
of
that
that.
before the episode.
Never mind. All right, go ahead, guys. Continue.
Gotta vote.
I'm gonna mute for a minute.
Oh. So suddenly, out of nowhere, the Marbello decides, okay, never mind. I really desperately wanted to kidnap you a minute ago because we're totally poor and you would help our act. But now that we see that your heart's not in it, it's totally fine. Well, you can stay here with your family, and you'll never have the heart of a performer. And so
Yeah, it makes total sense because the script demands it. It's the end of the episode.
right, it's the end of the episode. We ran out of time.
We
So
ran out
now
of
I
time.
don't want to kidnap you anymore. Even though I was desperate to a minute ago.
Yep. You
Yeah.
got it right.
Incredible ending, I gotta say.
It don't make any sense except if you look at it from time and budget. It's like,
Yeah, right. And because he's got to stay on the planet.
please, Jill, do you have the slide of well, once you get there, hopefully you have the slide of the ship up in the sky.
I do.
Yeah. So we get to see Traveling Man once again. The Traveling Man ship from season 1.
The Traveling Man. What episode?
Yeah, Warren Oates. Welcome,
cool.
stranger.
Welcome, stranger. Yeah, that's it.
Yeah, the Traveling Man ship. It's the same optical that they used in the first season, but
That's pretty smart.
but dussied up with color.
Hey, welcome.
There we
Geek
go.
Flag
Traveling
Big
man.
Ghost, 1973.
Hello,
Oh,
Geek Flag.
Well, what was that, Gorilla?
Hail,
I
Geek
say
Flag, welcome.
Oh,
And he says maybe the H4 has a natural electrical static force field that makes it impervious to lasers.
there you go.
Yeah, that's a good point.
That's when you just grab the AR.
So once again, they wrapped up this episode pretty quickly, I guess.
Yep.
And all of a sudden, and suddenly, Marvella was a nice guy, and he had a big heart.
And everything's going to be just swell.
Exactly.
And he gave him the golden ticket.
Hey, wait a minute. That's Willy Wonka. No. Lifetime pass. Oh, joy.
Hey, kid, I know I tried to kidnap you, but come to my show.
Right.
I promise I won't try to kidnap you again.
Right. And I promise to get more acts next time.
I hope so.
And of course, Don reminds Smith that he's not getting up that easily. Not after all the crap that he pulled during this episode. Now I'm trying to remember. There we go. And now is where we get our teaser, our bumper for next week, or cliffhanger. So we have Dr. Smith wielding the robot naturally, no surprise there.
Of course.
And we have Dr. Smith making and it's funny too, because he's making homemade booze pretty much. And it's funny when they call it a still and then the reaction on his face. like obviously we all know the rest of the Robinsons aren't going to be interested in drinking booze.
I know.
He's a moonshiner.
Hey, it'd make that long trip there a lot more enjoyable.
Yeah, well, I agree. I would probably partake a little bit. But also, remember now, he was warned not to ever use the robot's batteries, which is exactly what he's doing. He's using the battery power from the robot to run this liquor still. Cuckoo berries.
Cuckoo berries.
Berries. Cuckoo for cuckoo berries.
It'll make you go cuckoo when you drink it.
How do they recharge the robot?
The charging station, that we're from the reluctant stowaway. It's down the lower level of the
on the lower level, that little canopy.
Oh, gotcha.
Yeah, it's in the center of the whole room.
And Jill, where have you seen that creature before?
Oh no, you're catching me in something. I can't.
Yeah, that's the same creature from the Magic Mirror from season 1.
Oh, the magic mirror.
Yeah, with the creepy Michael J. Pollard.
That's the Penny episode that Jackson.
The guy from Miri.
The guy from Miri, yeah.
Correct.
Yeah.
Yes.
And the Russians are coming, and
Bonnie and Clyde.
Bonnie and Clyde, yeah.
Kind of cool that a creature's carrying such a sophisticated looking device, because he doesn't look like he's that sophisticated, but I could be wrong.
Well, no, I think he's just there to like the messenger, just to bring the message.
Yeah.
But I do like the design of that. The design, for Lost in Space, it looks pretty good.
Yeah, it's pretty cool.
Right. We might as well plan on knowing that we'll see it again. They're not going to waste a lot of time building something like that if we're not going to show us at the time.
And next week.
Yeah, it was probably previously used on maybe Time Tunnel or Voyage to the Bottom of the Sea. I'm not sure if it's original for this episode or not.
Yeah, I personally, I don't recognize it, but I'm sure it was recycled for all of Irwin Allen's shows.
And we got our cliffhanger.
Yeah, next week's episode is my personal favorite from the second season.
For real? That's awesome.
Yeah, for real.
I can't wait.
No, I'm not being facetious. It's Prisoners of Space? I think that's what it's called.
Yes, the next episode.
Yeah, Prisoners of Space.
Yeah, it's a good one.
Cool.
It's also the highest rated second season Lost in Space episode on IMDb.
Well, I'm watching all of this for the first time, so I haven't seen it yet.
Yeah, I'm not going to spoil it.
But I know we'll cover it when we get there. But I don't know why, but it reminds me of an episode of TNG.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
I can't wait.
It seemed like TNG had a lot of courtroom episodes. Okay, so now we have, that's the conclusion of this episode. We get a teaser for next week. And remember, everybody, please vote in the chat if you have not done so. So like we usually do, I'm going to go around, usually go clockwise on the panel, and get everyone's opinion on the episode we just covered, and give them the opportunity to tell us about their channels if they have one. And I'll start with Gorilla's random thoughts. Gorilla, what did you think about this episode, and tell us about your channel?
I don't know. My biggest problem with this is Will want to just volunteer to go off with even with Dr. Smith. He should know that by now Dr. Smith is lying to him. And he will more likely said something to his parents in there. Then another thing there, that you got that unbeatable creature that can be controlled by that guy there. It's
Marvello.
a little too much, but I'm not gonna fault it for that. You need some kind of threat. But then also the way you get the threat to Dr. Smith that gets past the censors, but we know that they can like tackle them and act like they're gonna do something to Dr. Smith, but they didn't. But something like that, Dr. Smith should have had to do more than listen to a band rendition of Tiptoeing Through the Tulips than what he got. He should have gotten a lot more than that. And I wasn't thoroughly as entertained as some other episodes there. I'm gonna give this one. The only thing that saved this episode was the robot, the way he's talking to Dr. Smith and all that. I'm gonna give it a C minus. Plus, I'm getting sick and tired of all these cliffhangers. There should be something special like at the end of a season.
Okay, I appreciate it, Gorilla. Tell us about your channel.
Well, I've been doing a lot of streams lately. Like tonight, we're gonna do it again. As we're just gonna sit there and laugh at these frivolous lawsuits and maybe do some dumb criminal stuff in there, and that occasionally when I have time. But otherwise, my normal scheduled streams are Wednesday is Justified. There we're in season 4, episodes 3 and 4. Thursday, I'm planning a cringe stock there where we are going to watch the absolutely cringy movie 20.0 Mega Quake. Oh my god, I was watching that last night. I was like, oh. But anyhow, Friday, we are reviewing the Waltons episode, The Ghost Story, which that is a fantastic episode. That's one of the few episodes I actually remember watching a couple times. Was that one there? And then hopefully Saturday we can do Return to the Lost World. Then hopefully I'll be back on schedule with Cinema Sunday with Mad Max 3 on Sunday. Then I do a lot to shoot too.
Yeah, it sounds like fun.
Yeah.
And I forgot that I moved myself out of order. So I'm going to step back here and ask Stone Racket. Stone Racket, would you like to share with us what you think about the episode and anything about your channel?
Well, I earlier you read my my chat comment that I gave this episode a D, and when I give ratings in your poll, it will always be of the episode, because the coverage here is always A triple plus.
Oh, thank you.
On your channel. So I'll never give a low grade to the coverage here, just to the episode. And in a word, for this episode, the operative word from me, the way I feel about it, is pathetic. And this is an episode that's kind of the Rosetta Stone to the rest of the season. It's just going to go downhill from here.
Oh no.
And
I don't think so.
okay, well, yeah,
Yeah,
you
we're gonna
know,
have people tuning out if you say that too much.
I'm sorry.
It's okay.
Yeah, it's just my opinion. Don't listen to the cat, Stone Racket,
The grumpy cat.
the grumpy cat. Next week's episode is my favorite from the second year, and so I'm looking forward to that. But I just want to thank you, Pop, for letting me on the panel here.
My pleasure.
And
Glad to see you.
and I will do my very best not to be so negative.
Oh, it's okay. I like different opinions. What about your channel? Anything you want to share?
I don't have a channel. I am not a content creator, but I do hang out on Jill's channel, and now I'll be hanging out on your channel.
Thank you.
So you folks will be seeing me on your channel and Jill's.
Well, welcome, and it's great to have you here, sir.
Did you give a
Thank
letter
you.
grade? I missed it.
Yeah, I gave it a D.
Oh, okay. I missed that part because I
I'm
took my
sorry.
headphones off.
Yeah, I gave it a D. I actually put that in the chat. But maybe I shouldn't do that.
Oh, no, it's fine.
Okay, I wasn't sure how you felt about that.
Oh, no, yeah, I encourage, even if you're on the panel, you're welcome to vote in the chat as well. So, yeah, definitely no problem with that.
Okay.
And Jill, tell us about, what do you think about this episode, and tell us about your channel.
So yeah, so the best part of the episode is the dilemma with the purifier, but even that is cut short because we really don't know what on this planet is causing the blight and why the food needs to be purified. And so we're just kind of left hanging on even the only science fiction aspect. So focusing on that gave weight to an otherwise rudderless antagonist. I enjoyed seeing Don and John working on the purifier way more than seeing Will suddenly being given superpowers and becoming a matter synthesizer. So just so long as he hangs out with Francesca, or is that her name?
Devestra.
Vanestra. Yeah, see, I
Vanestra.
can't even
Vanestra,
remember
thank
her dang name. That is
That's okay.
Francesca.
Francesca.
Vanestra.
Vanestra.
Well, in all honesty, they don't say their names very often in the episode, so it's
Yeah.
okay.
And yeah, like he's human, so how does he suddenly have this kind of power? Even Will doesn't even believe it because that's how ridiculous it is.
Yeah.
And it's contrary to the charlatan nature that we established that she had at the beginning. So I guess now she is magic after all.
So what grade?
And oh, I'm so sorry. I'm going
Oh,
slow.
no, don't apologize. I don't mean to skip the point. You're probably not done talking yet, so I'm sorry.
I'm sorry. The episode was contradictory in nature. It was kind of cheap how creepy the show was made from. So it seemed like they wanted dinner to the point they assumed the Robinsons are on the menu because they were trying to make them sinister about the fact that they wanted dinner. And of course, I do understand in the script they were trying to make them seem destitute, but at the same time, the way the lines were delivered, it sounded like they wanted to eat the crew. I don't know. Maybe that was just me who saw that.
No, I thought that as well. No, it makes sense.
and then it just switched to kidnapping. So okay, that's fine, I guess. And Marvello tries to kidnap Will at the end, but then out of the blue completely changes his personality and lets him go just because it's the end of the episode and we got to move on. And it's pretty ridiculous he expects that Will ever want to see Marvello's show after he tried to kidnap him. Anyway, I wouldn't want to go to a show like that. I gave this one a D+. And
Okay.
my channel is the same as my name, Antiderivative Jill, and I like to talk about science fiction and learn and see if I can show others what I've learned and just have a good time. So tomorrow we're going to talk about Wink of an Eye, the season 3 episode. So we'll try to make heads or tails of that one too. And that's and Friday is going to be Buckaroo Banzai.
Well, I will be there for tomorrow, Jill. I made sure to have no appointments.
Cool. And that's
And
all
I'm
I got.
excited, yes. Okay, and thank you for that. PvP, what say you? What did you think about this episode? And tell us about your channel, please.
I think I overgraded it. I was in a generous mood after I watched it last night because, well, there's several positives. Probably the biggest thing for me was, Angela Cartwright finally got some, reasonably good dialogue in quite a few scenes early in the episode. So as a big, Penny fan, I that did boost my ratings a fair bit. Because I mean, let's face it, she's often in the background, not doing much of anything in most episodes. So when she finally gets a chance to shine, because I always thought Angela was a darn fine, actress, even at that age. So that boosted my ratings probably a little too much actually. But I love the robot stuff. The robots, mocking Smith and his laughing and his bad singing. I really enjoyed that. So that was fun. Gosh, I love Professor Robinson's line about skinning Smith alive. I thought that was great. That was all too rare, like all too rare for Professor Robinson to actually, kind of stick up to Smith and kind of tell him like, "Hey, buddy, you know, I'm not impressed with what you're doing with my son," right?
Right.
So that was great. So those are all positives. But then again, there's a lot of negatives too. The Bob and Wanda script sounds like it would have been great if they'd actually been able, had the budget and the time to produce it, but apparently they didn't. And the space circuits itself is, like you said, it was more like a space sideshow because there wasn't much of a circus going on there. And I kind of got the feeling like this is a real low budget, production here, which was kind of weird watching the Robinson family get so excited as to what they were seeing. But I guess it was pointed out earlier. They have been in space for like over a year now, and they probably don't get a whole lot of quality entertainment. So I could let that pass. The monster was another minus for me. I mean, I can appreciate, some of the costumes and constructions and some of the aliens, especially earlier on, like in season 1. But man, this was a pretty bad looking monster. I mean, basically, just a guy in a furry suit. So I wasn't too impressed with any of that. Let's see. And the whole cast, really, I mean, most of the circus people were fine. Like their performances didn't bother me, but they didn't bother me probably because most of them didn't do much of anything. And as far as the main character, Marvello, I didn't find his performance all that bad, but I didn't find it all that good either. So I was kind of neutral on that. And then, of course, I hated the flip flop at the end when he wants to kidnap Will and use his powers to make money or whatever. And then all of a sudden, the last couple of minutes, he turns into this beautiful guy that's like, "Oh, we don't need you. Just go back and be happy with your family." So I thought that was pretty poor. So yeah, I had really mixed feelings about this. And I think another reason I actually rated this higher than I probably normally would have was that I hated the last episode last week. What was the one last week, guys? What was the title? You know the one I mean, though, with what's his name?
It's a Forbidden World.
Forbidden World. Oh,
right, Wally Cox.
That was the one I think I gave that one a D because I just couldn't stand it. I mean, there was nothing on any level for that one. So that was my worst rating ever for the Lost in Space streams. So Space Circus, I ended up giving it actually a B minus, which is probably way too generous. But as I mentioned, there's reasons that I mentioned earlier why I was in a generous mood. But when I think about it more and more, I'd probably end up maybe giving it, dropping it a whole point into like a C minus. But it's a forgettable episode at best, that's for sure.
I was wondering how you all would have felt about this episode if Marvello had been played by Vincent Price.
That would have been fantastic.
A lot better, yeah. But
Yeah,
obviously he wasn't going to lower himself for television at the time.
That might have saved the episode, though.
Well,
Actually,
he
come to
played
think of it.
Egghead on Batman. That's pretty low.
Well, yeah, that's when the celebrities were competing for roles on that show. Because
Well, that's true too.
it
That
was the
they were,
biggest thing at the
yeah.
time.
You know who wanted to play the Joker really bad?
Who's that?
Frank Sinatra.
I was just going to say,
Really?
I remember Frank Sinatra wanted to be on it. but I
Yeah, and he
couldn't
was
do
so
it.
disappointed he wasn't cast as the
Are
Joker.
you
But
kidding? Wow.
no, I'm not.
That would have
I'm
been
so
awesome.
I'm so glad because Cesar Romero is just incredible in that
Well,
role.
Cesar Romero's fantastic. I always loved Cesar Romero, but
He's still
it
my
would have been
favorite.
it would
Oh
have been
yeah,
really interesting
he's
though.
great.
But seeing Sinatra playing the Joker could have been quite fascinatingly. It would have been bizarre, but it could have been kind of interesting. You know.
Yeah.
I don't know why, but the thought of Sinatra playing the Joker kind of reminds me of Jack Nicholson playing the Joker. It just doesn't work.
Yeah, I never
I
cared.
thought Jack Nicholson was the worst Joker.
I never cared for Nicholson's
Well,
performance.
it was just Nicholson. It wasn't Joker. It was
Correct.
you know.
And he was short and chubby. That's not the Joker.
Yeah,
That's
and
right.
Nicholson just hammed it up so much. He was basically chewing the scenery in that movie. So yeah.
Oh yeah.
I just want to
Stunt
mention though. I just want to mention to Jill, if she's listening at the moment, don't despair totally, Jill. There are some great episodes coming up. Even though I think season 2 is the most inconsistent of the 3 seasons, there are some fantastic episodes. Nevertheless, some of them might take a while to get to, but there's ones like the trip through the robot, which I think is an absolutely awesome episode, and some later stuff like that. So there are some great episodes coming up. And the Mechanical Men towards the end of the season, where we get all the I probably shouldn't give spoilers, but we get a lot of cool
No
stuff.
spoilers.
We get a lot of cool stuff featuring the robot once again. So it's really good.
Yeah, it's I'm a big fan of Star Trek, but I am also a big fan of Lost in Space because I watched both series as a young child, and I still have a lot of nostalgic feelings towards both series.
Very cool. And I for my review, I'm going to give it a C. I would have, for me, I have to separate the script from the filmed product. So when I review this, I'm just going to review the film product. Yes, some of it's disappointing because we didn't get to see what was in the script, but that's just how that's how the dice is rolled out. I did like the interaction, like other people have already mentioned, between Dr. Smith and the robot, and I think Jonathan Harris did some great additional dialogue in the script, which I thought was entertaining. I thought it lifted the episode, made it more entertaining than what it could have been without that. It seems like a lot of the episodes we get are basically rewrites of the Space Croppers, and Traveling Man and all that, because it always seems to be people who are on the down and outs who are struggling. Of course, it has to fit within the budget of the show, so that's the reason why. That's the reason why we're like here. It's a struggling sideshow, and they're even starving for food. Because of budgets, they're not going to show a big, huge, successful circus land on the planet. But I thought the casting was well done. I did like the actor who played Marvello, even though he was not as sinister as what it called for in the script. He's like like Santa Claus or a big grandpa. He's like really nice. So I don't know if I could totally fault the actor or not. You got to remember, he was just acting with the script that he had handed to him in the time allotted. So yeah, I'm giving the episode a C. And as far as my channel, we've got our horror sci-fi reviews tomorrow. I hope you guys can join us. We're going to be covering The Running Man with Arnold Schwarzenegger. I figured why not? It'll be a follow-up to when we did Total Recall last month. And then Monday, Gorilla and I will be back for 2 more episodes of season 3 of Gilligan's Island. And I'll be back Saturday night for another open panel, open mic, Rumblings from the Lab. And everybody's invited once again. And I'll have a link in the chat for that stream as well, so anybody and everybody can join us. The last streams of rumblings, I think, have been very entertaining, and I had a blast. Last week was great, so I think it's going to be great. I'm going to go ahead and close the poll in the chat, and then I'm going to cover the results with everybody. Share that with everyone. I'm sorry, getting my words all trampling over myself. All right, here. So we cover the chat, and then show the poll. All right. So it looks like we have a total of 13 votes, and I want to thank everybody for voting. I really appreciate you giving us your input on this episode. What grade would you give Space Circus? And it looks like we got a 46% with an A+ to A-. Nice. 30. Looks like by the way, everybody, looks like the chat was a little more friendlier than we were. 30% gave it a B+ to a B-. We got a 15% with a C+ to C-, and we got a 7% with D+ to, of course, F-. I know F- doesn't make sense to everybody, but I like to put that in as a little joke. But thank you for voting in the chat. I appreciate that. Like I said,
I'm
I
actually
appreciate you all being here.
Amazed at the wide range of different grades in the poll. That's pretty awesome, actually.
Yeah, it is. I love it. That's why I love different opinions.
I thought I'd be the only guy rating it so highly.
Yeah, the majority gave it an A.
I'm kind of
like,
surprised.
whoa.
I gotta say, I'm a bit surprised.
Yeah.
Well, maybe I don't like to blow my own horn, but maybe they liked the stream. Maybe they were grading our coverage of the episode.
Of course.
Yeah, that's A++, like I said. It's coverage is stellar.
If we can take a mediocre episode and uplift it and make it better, then that's always a success, right?
Yeah.
True.
I'm going to be okay. We covered the chat, or the poll in the chat, and so what we're going to do, as I always do when I say good night, everybody, we're going to show the preview for next week's episode. But before we do that, Gorilla, is there any chats we need to get caught up on? Don't want to miss the chat, but we love them.
Just a couple here. Geek says, "Have you guys seen the Lost in Space?" Only fun.
Unfortunately, is my response, but no offense to people that like it.
I have not seen it.
Yeah, I'm with Pops on that.
Edge of Time says, "I'm a space cowboy." Bet you weren't ready. And Geek here says, "My grandfather made moonshine. He made 3 guys at the moon, howling at the moon in your underwear."
Oh no.
That's awesome.
Oh man, I probably had a few of those nights, sadly.
I remember I was living in the South. I remember they sold moonshine at the store. You could buy it.
Wow.
You can get it up here. At
the store?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Very cool.
I could get it at Walmart.
I doubt that it's as strong as, homemade, but yeah, I give them credit for that. At least they carry it.
180 proof.
What?
Oh my goodness. That would knock me out.
Jeez, that's like drinking gasoline or something, man. Wow.
Hey, we got to run our vehicles on something up here when it gets cold.
That's strong. That's pretty strong stuff. Wow.
I remember the Beverly Hillbillies. There was a few episodes where they put that in their gas tank.
Wasn't
Granny's recipe.
That's right. Granny's recipe.
Yeah, I remember Granny doing the recipe. I think there was an episode or two where Granny sampled a little too much and went kind of loopy, but those were always fun.
Oh, that was a great show.
I love it. Yeah.
And they got cheated out of a 10th season too.
Yeah, because of the big purge.
Yeah. It's like we got to get rid of all those rural comedies.
And they got rid of Petticoat Junction
and Green Acres.
Green Acres, yeah.
Only one show made it through the purge. You guys know what that was, right?
Let's see. Is that Mayberry RFD?
No,
Hee-Haw.
Oh, Hee-Haw. That's
Hee-haw,
right.
Only because it moved into syndication
Oh,
and
wow.
off of CBS.
Yeah.
Probably my least favorite show of all the ones just mentioned would be Hee Haw.
It lasted until the 80s, believe it or not.
Oh man,
Yes, it did.
I could never get into that show.
No, but
Once in a
it was designed for a certain class. If I'm sure
yeah.
you understand a certain
Once in a
audience.
while, my father would switch the channel with his remote, and it would be on Hee Haw for just a little bit, just to annoy my mom. And then he would switch it over to something else.
Now, is that one of the remotes with the loud click, click?
You got it. Yeah, it was a
Oh,
loud
boy.
click and a whirring. It almost sounded like a whirring motor coming from the console.
Wow.
You know, it was we had a really beautiful Sylvania console TV with a built-in stereo hi-fi
Wow.
Whoa,
turntable on one side and the
oh, yeah.
AM FM radio on the other, and of course the television in the middle, and it was a Mediterranean style. It was dark walnut.
Now, do you think maybe since your dad worked at a TV station, that kind of helped him get the television?
Well, like I mentioned earlier, there was a once the Des Moines television market opened up, WITV in Ames was not a novelty, and by 1957 or late 56, my father was laid off with a whole bunch of other people, and so my father had to find another job, and he ended up working for back then it was called the Highway Commission, but it's the Department of Transportation now, or DOT, DOT. But my father worked for 30 years as a right-of-way agent for the Department of Transportation.
Very cool.
Wow.
Okay, are we all caught up on the chat? Are we ready to go?
Yeah. Oh wait, we got a few more here. Scurvy says I'm frightening on moonshine and thus usually avoid it. And then Edge of Time here says I watched the floppy Christmas special on YouTube. Sadly, most of the episodes are lost. Haven't seen Betty Lou since, but I would totally want Tommy on the riverbank.
Yeah, Tales of the Riverbank. There are actually like half a dozen episodes on YouTube of that with Roger and Henny.
Thank you, Lemon Pie.
All right.
Oh, thank you, Lemon Pie.
Oh, thanks, Lemon.
Edge of Time says, look forward to Mad Max Street Grill. Well, that's good. Yeah, we'll start at 7 o'clock Central Standard Time. I shouldn't have to go with the weather's being, because it jumped for like 35, 40 degrees overnight, so we shouldn't have to jump vehicles. And Edge of Time, or Survey here says, Stoner Racket created his account in 2008. Legendary ancient status.
Nice.
Then the ape's kryptonite is dryer sheets.
Friction. Static electricity.
Kirby's laughing at it at the time. Hey everyone, I'm at the end, says Cam.
I'm glad you saw it, Cam.
Yeah. And Judge Time says Cam's sliding home. Hey, good to see you, and I'm safe. Scurvier says I'm still in the chat.
Nice.
How was your date? Spill the tea, says Edge of Time. I just lost where I was at. Cam says, well, thanks. We had a good time.
Very cool.
And Pickles here says, thanks, Pop. Always a pleasure.
Well, thank you, LDG. A pleasure having you here, sir.
And Edge of Time says, my friend says nurses are a red flag. Is that true, Cams?
Huh. Was his date a nurse? Huh. Interesting.
All right, Edge of Time says, my friend says they're... Oh, I already read that. Hail to the most kosher in the chat, LDG. And Cam says, in my experience, yes. Ed says, just leave a $5 in an empty mason jar by the post. Mine too, sadly. And then Cam says, I gotta hop. Take care. I think he's your
I'm sorry. I can tell you're tired, Gorilla. I apologize. I
Good
didn't think
night.
it was going to run this late.
And
ahead.
Geek says, I had fun hanging out with you guys. Do you do this every Monday? Yes, we do.
Yes, we do. Every Monday,
Yep.
7 p.m. Mountain Time.
Every Monday.
And Scurvy says, thanks, everyone.
Thank you.
All right.
Bye.
All right.
And
Back. I'm heading back to sleep.
all right. And thank you, everybody. in the
Thank you.
chat. We couldn't do this without you. And especially, most of all, everybody in the panel. You guys made this great. And Jill, thank you for your magnificent slides once again. I know that's not easy.
Oh,
But
you're welcome. I'm sorry I had to step away for a little bit. My daughter needed me, and I
Oh,
forgot to
no.
put something in the private chat.
it's okay. You don't have to apologize. Thank you for your help tonight, Jill.
For sure.
I'm excited for
Absolutely.
tomorrow's Star Trek episode.
Yeah, me too. It's
Is
going to
it-
be interesting.
Is it one of your favorites, Pop?
I do like it. Well, this is going to sound crazy, but I'm a special effects fan.
Oh,
And
okay.
it's the only episode where we get the phaser effect slowed down and stopped on screen.
That's
Usually only
true.
lasts for a few seconds. I know that sounds petty, but it always stands out in my mind for that reason.
Well,
Okay.
we got something in common because that's my thumbnail for the episode.
Cool.
So we'll talk about it tomorrow.
Right.
That was a cool bit, but it's a bit confusing, but we'll talk about it. We'll talk
It
about
is confusing, but I liked it, the fact they're on a different timeline. But like you said, we will talk about that tomorrow.
Jill will unconfuse us.
Yes.
But
Well,
Thank you.
yeah, it'll make for a good topic. I can't wait.
exactly, right. And thank you, everybody, for helping out tonight. Don't tune out just yet. Now we're gonna have our preview for next week's episode of Lost in Space: Prisoners of Space. And I will see you all tomorrow night, hopefully. Drive safe tomorrow and stay warm, everybody. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye now.
Of the Galaxy Tribunal of Justice. You are hereby notified that charges have been brought against you for crimes committed in space.
Can't let everyone else go to prison for something they didn't even do.
I am Judge Aiko. There is your jury. They are your peers from out of space, Dr. Smith.